come on guys, quit kidding around. Or, fuck me so hard. That's what a lot of people fucking think about when they hear women and horror in the same sentence. So, as a community, we shouldn't also think that way. Think about what Mary Shelley brought to the genre. That was the first thing that had ever been written like that. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Incredible. Completely a game changer across the board in horror. You got Shirley Jackson with The Lottery, ever heard of it, and The Haunting of Hill House, who has probably inspired more modern horror authors than anyone ever. And you've got the Anne Rices of the world, who completely took a genre, turned it on its head, and created something new for an entirely new audience that brought in this gothic, really Americana version of the vampire. And it transcended the genre and became something on its own. So when people think about Interview with the Vampire, they don't think about Bram Stoker's Dracula. I almost didn't theme a week about women because to me it's uncomfortable to draw attention to it in that way. We should, in general, accept female authors and female writers and females making horror and directing horror, making horror movies, etc., etc., etc. We should just accept them as a part of the horror community in general.
Fuck me. Fuck me so hard.
Our Godless Buzzbook this week is The ABCs of Terror. She's edited by the great Don Shea, who you all know is the owner of D&T Publishing. Now, I featured him a couple weeks ago as a featured publisher because Don's got such a great way of releasing books, and she's been kind of doing this windowing system through Godless that I really appreciate. She's given me titles like a week or two early, and I put them up, and they're exclusive on my platform. She can kind of feel the water for them. So The ABCs of Terror is the Buzzbook this week. I think you should check it out, and if you really like it, go back and read the first 2 installments of this anthology series. It's really, really cool. It's really, really good. Our featured author this week is Rayne Havok. Yes, we talk about her a lot. I get it. There's a reason for that. She knows exactly how to present herself and her work to her audience, and she gave us the big release this week, which is going to drop on Thursday, which is called
Furry, Beaver.
I got this the other week. I think you should definitely buy this. If you like Mukbang Princess, if this is not really a sequel to it or anything like that, but it's got the same mindset and the same sentiment of Rayne's work. And you can pick up any of her titles. Currently, she only has 2 titles exclusive to my platform, but I think that you should go check out everything on Amazon because people really dig her, and there's a reason for that. She is really dedicated to her work, and she is dedicated to giving her audience what they want. And giving her audience what they want is something that is a really hard thing to pull off when you're a young writer. They know what they want from her, and they get it, and they get it every single time. So Furry Beaver is coming out again on Thursday at noon, and pick it up. And if you haven't, if you're like one of the few people out there who hasn't read Mukbang Princess yet, do it. Get into it. Check out all her stuff on Amazon as well. It's worth it. Jensen! That was the Jetsons thing. It was really fucking stupid. Our emerging author this week is Stephanie Jensen. Stephanie was the second author to sign up on the Godless platform. The second overall. First was Danny Volpe, as we all know, and second was Stephanie. She has got a book. The second edition came out on Godless, and it's called The Dissecting House. I think you should check this out because this new edition that she released at the end of the book, she releases the kind of a teaser for her next book in the series, The Dissecting House. I think you should check out Stephanie's work. She's new, she's young, and she's got a perspective on horror that no one really has currently, and I think you'll enjoy it. Welcome to the second installment of Drew's Conclusions. I'm gonna put on these glasses so you guys think I'm smart, even though the reflection from the light I'm using to light my face in the front above the green screen is going to be annoying as fuck. So I'll take them off and put them in my mouth so it looks like I'm, a lawyer or something, kind of summing up what happened in this episode. So I'm going to get really personal right now and talk about women and how people perceive women and how, I came to this kind of massive epiphany in my life about my personal treatment of women. And I wanted to share it with you, even though it's very personal, but I think that there is something to take away from it. So this is the second edition of Drew's Conclusions. When I was in college, let's put that I was a fucking scumbag. I was very sexually promiscuous, and I cared very little about people I had sex with. And I look back at that now, and I feel like a fucking total dirtball about it. I feel like a total scumbag. And it wasn't just because I had an epiphany or someone told me I was being a scumbag. When I was a senior in college, the dean of my school, Rollins College, had taken me out of school because I struggled with an eating disorder called bulimia. That's where you make yourself puke, right? Never really got to the bottom of where that came from or why I was doing it, but I haven't done it in a really long time, which is good news. But anyway, I had been put into this inpatient program in Baltimore at Mercy Hospital, and I was the only dude there, right? So I was surrounded by all these in some cases really young teen girls, and I was also in there with people my age and older than me, but I was definitely the only male, which is something I don't know if I was the very first male to be in that program or not, because I had to stay at the hospital. But it ended up that was the case with me, that I was with all these young women who had been through a lot. And slowly as I was there, I learned that 99% of these women kind of had succumbed to their eating disorder because they had been raped or sexually abused. That's a real fucking number. And no matter who tells you that that's not the truth, it is the fucking truth. And it's very fucking sad. And so after spending months with these females in there, it completely changed the way I felt about the world in general, and especially the male treatment of females in general. And when I see it in the horror community, it continues to get under my skin, right? And when I hear people wanting to write stories about rape and hardcore rape and shit like that, it gets under my skin. And you can call me an old fuddy-duddy who doesn't know what's fucking going on, right now in horror, but fuck you, man. This is something that is so fucking serious, you guys, that these girls who had been raped, they didn't want to fucking exist. And they didn't want in any way to be sexually appealing to anyone who was preying on them. And you got to think about that. You have to. I'm not telling you to censor your work. I'm telling you to be sensitive to what's going on and what people really think, right? The horror community is about breaking boundaries and really kind of fucking breaking out and being yourself. But you have to consider that if you write all this shit about just constantly raping fucking people, it's more than just being hardcore writing. It comes off as bullshit at some point, right? Because you haven't fucking experienced it. And you haven't been raped, motherfucker. So get it straight, man. I mean, there was girls in the eating disorder clinic who were like fucking 11 years old who were on Norplant, dude, because they were getting fucked. And they were getting fucked by people in their family. So think about that. Think about that shit. Think about that shit when you talk shit about female authors, right? Don't be a fucking pussy. If you've got a problem with a female author and something she's fucking writing or whatever, take it up with them, man. I'm not your fucking dad, okay? So I'm sorry I'm sharing this with you, and I feel bad, kind of looking back, because no one likes to look back on their life and think, wow, I was a real piece of fucking shit, and not everyone's as fortunate as me to be able to kind of look at the world through a different set of eyes and circumstances. It meant a lot to me, and it changed who I am, right? You can't look at a room full of, 10 plus different girls who are struggling with staying alive because they won't fucking eat, because they don't want to have their period and shit like that, and not just be flabbergasted, man. It's upsetting. Rape is fucking hurtful. Think about that. Don't try and write hardcore rape scenes. I know that was my whole purpose of last week is talking about like, well, that's nothing fucking new, but it goes a lot deeper than that, right? Okay, sure. Writing a hardcore fucking rape scene, is nothing new. Okay? That means it's not fucking edgy or cool. It goes further than that. It's also not cool because it hurts people who have been in that situation. I always say, and I'm not the first one to say this, but write what you fucking know, right? If you've never fucking tried heroin, don't write a fucking story about a junkie. You know what I mean? If you've never been fucking raped, don't write rape scenes, motherfucker, because you don't know what it is. And if you are a rapist and you're writing rape scenes, fuck you, dude. You should be in jail. All right, you guys. Sorry, this has been kind of an exhausting episode, and I hope I got my point across. I don't know if it was as clear, kind of putting this together and shaping it around women on Godless, which is the theme this week. But I want people to understand where I'm coming from when I say shit. Like, I'm not a fucking square if you call me a fucking square or a fucking loser, because I think rape is fucking stupid, dude. And I think that writing about rape, if you haven't been raped, is even more fucking stupid. So just kind of bear with me, man. This was a really personal thing for me, and I was sparked by the fact that I want to support all these female authors who are on Godless and showing their support of me. So I want to give back to them, but I don't want to fucking knock it over the head and say like, this week it's all about women and the site's going to be pink and blah, 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 and all these dumb cliches, because it's bullshit. I love you guys, and stick with it. Be fucking real. Write you. Always be your fucking self. Never write what you don't fucking know. You're not a fucking girl.